The personal views expressed by our podcast guests are their own and are not legal advice or official statements by their organizations. Hello, my name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. This is the Data Diva Talks Privacy podcast, where we discuss data privacy issues with industry leaders around the world with information that businesses need to know now. I have a very special guest all the way from Melbourne, Priya Gnanasekaran. She is a senior security engineer at Lab 3. Welcome.
Thanks, Zoe. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much for staying up late, for being able to have this call with me. I really appreciate it. I really admire the work that you do, and I would really love to get an idea of what your journey has been in the tech industry thus far and how you became a senior security engineer at Lab 3.
Thanks, Zoe. It's definitely likewise as well. I love the work that you do in the industry and seeing that there are only very few women as compared in cybersecurity as well. So I love the work that you're doing and your contribution, definitely. So a little about me. I've started, I would say I'm in cybersecurity industry for around a decade now. So I've started my journey in computer science long ago because since childhood, I always wanted to be a computer science engineer. And then slowly my interest and due to the innate curiosity I had, I navigated into cybersecurity. So I did my research in cybersecurity that was in DDoS protection using machine learning and prevention methods. So that is how I channelized myself into cybersecurity while I did my master's in the University of Melbourne. And so after that, I started working in cybersecurity as a technologist in one of the major telecom companies here. And that is how my journey has been going and working across multiple domains. That would be in DevSecOps, security engineering, security operations. So those are the areas that I've worked across over a period over my last, I would say, 8 to 10 years now. So at the moment, I'm working with Lat3 as a senior security engineer in the security operations.
Very good. I know when you were talking about working in cybersecurity over different domains, I think one thing that I feel that people get wrong or don't understand about the cybersecurity area is that they think it's just one thing as
That's true.
opposed to many different things. I mean, it's very different.
Definitely.
It's like if someone is a doctor, people always ask them what type of doctor they are. They don't assume that you're like everyone's a brain surgeon or whatever. But tell me a little bit about that misunderstanding in kind of the cybersecurity world.
All right, I agree. Like you said, many people probably, when they hear cybersecurity, they think we're all hackers or we're all pen testers, or it's all only the other main stereotypes or the notions all across the world, I would say, mainly in terms of cybersecurity, but definitely there are a lot more to it. And if you think about it, it is an amalgamation of multiple domains or multiple disciplines, for example, networking or even software engineering put together, right? And we have the blue team, red team, and when we dive deeper into those, we have a lot more. So for me, I've been always in the blue team side of things, so in the defense side of things. So starting from DevSecOps to security engineering and to infrastructure security engineering as well, security operations. So it is interesting because I used to do software engineering previously, and when I came into security, I was able to connect those dots, which I learned in software engineering, and that I could bring to security as well. And that is why when I said it's an amalgamation, so I would say even a network engineer could learn security and dive deeper into security.
And then also, I think there's a misunderstanding between traditional IT work and cybersecurity work. Can you tell us the difference between those two for people who don't understand that?
That's right. That's right. And even in IT, like how we say in cybersecurity, there are so many domains. Even in IT, there are so many domains as well. But again, cybersecurity comes at the forefront of protection. One thing I want to state is that security is not just an IT problem. It's more about it's more about protecting people, their digital lives, and the futures. That is how I look at it.
I like the way you put that. So that's why privacy and security, they're not the same, but they have a symbiotic relationship because we're also aiming to protect people, but we're trying to
Yeah.
protect people's rights around data. So what's happening in the world, just in general, around technology or data that concerns you most as it relates to cybersecurity?
Well, I would say lately we are all aware of the AI revolutionizing everything. So that is one of the biggest threats at the moment related to personal privacy, I'd say. Definitely, we do see the upside of it as in the advantages. We have so many advantages with the narrow AI or agentic AI, a lot more. At the same time, what we need to be privy of is also about the threats that is emerging. And if you look at the research papers that have been published, there are a lot more papers and researches are done on the amount of attacks or issues that it can occur at the same time. Only very less amount of papers are published about the defense mechanisms because we haven't understood AI completely yet, and it is growing at a pace where it's hard to keep up to understand it completely or holistically.
I agree with that. Your thoughts about something? I did a video about this a while ago, and I call it shadow AI,
Yeah, okay.
where the corollary to that previously was shadow IT, which was basically
Yeah.
people using applications or doing things with enterprise data that they weren't supposed to be doing, kind of under the radar. And I think having the cloud come into play made that harder for companies to manage because people can kind of go to any website and download an app and start using it. But now we have this AI explosion all over the world, and people are downloading and doing all types of wacky things with data within enterprise. And I always tell people you shouldn't put your private information into AI tools. You shouldn't put company proprietary information in those tools, and people just do it anyway. But I want your thoughts just about that challenge because I feel like cybersecurity is already hard, and so this just making it more difficult
I,
for people like
I
me.
agree. I agree. And like when you touched upon cloud, I remember that when cloud was in place, we had a lot of IoT devices as well because of the cloud improvements and technological improvements that we were having. And at that time, IoT devices were, and even till date, I would say they're not completely secure. Most of the IoT devices, they have so much anomalies and it's comparatively a lot more easier to attack as compared to other devices. At this point, we are at a stage where these IoT devices are also using AI. So whether it be Alexa, Siri, Go, and all those. So it's even a lot more concerning if you think about it, it just adds up. And also now at the moment we are in agentic AI and we are going towards a collective AI where they collaborate multiple agents and it's a collection of multiple agents and allows you to perform. And a lot more research, I would say, happening in the AI forefront. So these things combined with IoT devices, and if it will be combined with quantum computing as well, which probably we will see in another 2, 3 decades. It's a lot more frightening, but at the same time, definitely we can use AI to protect our system as well. Because if attackers can use and leverage AI, why not defense can also do the same? So I would say we can't completely avoid it, might as well use it to our favor and get it up to speed with the defense mechanisms as well.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on IoT. That's an area that I work in quite a bit on the privacy tip, and I think it is concerning that these devices, they're becoming more sophisticated. They're not as secure as they should be. Before people went crazy about AI, I was always concerned with IoT, especially devices becoming more sophisticated so that
Yeah.
they talk to one another. And so now we have AI we have IoT devices that can talk to each other, but then you're adding in, like you say, artificial intelligence that also talks to one another. And so that could definitely be a vulnerability, especially if people don't really understand those IoT devices. But I want to talk to you a little bit let's talk about IoT a bit more. The thing that concerns me, I'm concerned a lot around IoT, right? But the thing that concerns me a lot is like people using devices that are like at the end of life or they're no longer getting updates and things like that. And so it creates more vulnerability for the organization for those things to operate within the organization. But I just want your thoughts about that.
Absolutely. And it's not just from the software perspective that creates the vulnerability, right? When IoT devices are made, there are not enough testing on the hardware side of things as well, whether it be firmware installations. And that's something which is important and it needs to be supervised strictly a lot more than what is at the moment currently being followed at a wider range. So yeah, so we have to, if only we find it from the hardware level, then we can focus on the software level of things for IoT devices. So yeah, that would be my take on it. And like you said, it is harder to also detect those vulnerabilities in IoT devices as compared to the other systems that we are currently using. So, and there are a lot more IoT devices as well with growing, for example, sensors or with the vehicles, all the automated vehicle systems. A lot more things are happening in those areas, and we need to be up to date on that. And as sophisticated as it gets, we need to get the defense mechanism up to the sophistication level as well.
So, what types of things that organizations really need to think about? Maybe either they're emerging, or maybe, as I hear a lot of cybersecurity people, they kind of bang their head against the wall that they think companies aren't doing some basic things that they should be doing. But I want
Yeah.
your thoughts.
I would say start to, most companies or most teams, even inside the companies, think or look at cybersecurity as a blocker for their work to be done, like whether it be a production release or a software release. So it would be nicer if teams collaborate and work together, and rather than just focusing on doing security testing in the end, it would be good if we can amalgamate security in every stage or each and every step of the production. And that is what even DevSecOps preaches or says, right? So moving security to the left, as in security focused production with in terms of the creating the devices or even whether it be writing the software for it. So it's about not looking security as a blocker and trying to be more open and incorporating it in the day-to-day process.
I feel like if you think cybersecurity is a blocker, you're doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, the thing is, people think it slows down the production, but it's not the case. I mean, it does because there is a one more extra layer or step that gets added to what the way it has been done before. But at the same time, they have to also remember at what cost you're going to speed up the process, and then the risks of it comes later.
Yeah. And I think that's a problem we have with AI right now, where
Mm.
we're seeing people say, like, let's forget about the guardrails and safety and let's just, run towards AI and not, think about issues later. And as a lot of harm can happen within organizations or to people if you wait later. And sometimes there is no adequate way to solve a problem after the horse is out of the barn.
You're
I
right.
like I like that you talked about shifting left in terms
Yeah.
of being more proactive instead of being reactive. I always tell people for some reason, I think some organizations think about cybersecurity as like the fire department. It's like, okay, we don't think
Uh,
about it, and then something bad happens. It's like, okay, we
yeah.
need your help now. And it just doesn't go that way. But I want your thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, right? That is what that's what I've been telling that. it's about being more accommodative to its cybersecurity. And probably it's also when you said they think of it as a fire department, or even some people think of it as like police, you just call it when there is an emergency. So shifting left, it definitely helps us from preventing a lot more. But then people don't look at it because they don't fully understand the risks that are involved by not taking proper measures. So that is, and that begins with awareness training, right? So it is important that people be aware of security and how important it is. And these days, most of our time we spend in digital environment. If you look at our phones or computer, you can see that our day-to-day life is involved around devices. And if we don't even know what are the risks and vulnerabilities or malwares or all the threats that we are facing in digital devices, if we are not even aware of it, how are we supposed to stay safe moving forward? And also in the last decade, we have seen change so far the fastest in the history, the change at which the technology is growing. And it is admiring at the same time it's frightening as well.
I agree with that. As a technologist, I'm always excited to see innovation, but you have to have a critical eye toward it too. So I think technology is like a sword that cuts
Double-edged
both
sword,
ways.
right? Yeah. It's a it definitely is a double-edged sword.
I want your thoughts about insider threats. So this is a topic that it kind of makes me giggle when I think about it because a lot of times when I hear people think about insider threats, they're thinking about Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise hanging from the ceiling. And I tell people a lot of insider threats aren't malicious, right? But
Yeah.
and so they don't understand that. But I want your thoughts there.
Yeah, insider threats definitely something that shouldn't be overlooked because, and also working in security operations, we deal with preventing a lot of insider threats and we also detect. So it's like you said, it is not as cool as Mission Impossible or all those hefty missions, but it is more about it could be as simple as collecting sensitive data in your USB. So those things are also insider threats, right? And otherwise publishing sensitive data to dark web or any other websites publicly. So those things could also be insider threats. And it is important to, again, this thing comes down to the awareness part of awareness side of things. So however, we need to detect it, but it's also important to train the people and employees about what should be done and what is ethical and what is non-ethical to do. And they need to be aware of the, I would say, consequences that they will have to face after they are being caught or after they're being found to be a person who did the insider threat. So I would say if people are aware of it, there will be less people involved in insider threat because most of them don't know the consequences. And the law, I would say, it's pretty strict. So there could be pretty hefty fines and even penalization of jail terms and all those as well. So it's pretty dangerous if people commit insider threats.
Oh, it is. So a lot of times it could be something as simple as someone, let's say a new person coming into a new company, and they may not get the proper awareness training until, let's say, 3 months after they got with an organization or something, right? So you don't know what they were doing for those 3 months, and they didn't have the proper information. And so that can create an insider threat in and of itself. Now, tell me your thoughts. Now, you're in Melbourne, but what are you seeing any like regional differences in your work in cybersecurity that you think is different based on your location or where certain companies operate?
I would say location based. We don't see location based differences in threats, or definitely the numbers would differ as per countries, but definitely there would be difference in the culture of how the cybersecurity is being adopted, and differs. We are lately or recently we have been focusing, as Australia as a country has been focusing a lot more on cybersecurity, and they have strategies published, and they're also collaborating with other countries to strengthen the cybersecurity. But apart from that, as organizations, I would say we're all wanting to incorporate security in our day-to-day operations. And I would say even whether it be other teams releasing something or whether it be patches or fixes, we're trying to progress and incorporate cybersecurity faster.
Do you feel like where you are, there's more collaboration between companies and government, like maybe more information sharing about cybersecurity or more helpful, supportive things the government can do for private industry?
Yeah, definitely there are a lot more government initiatives that they've been publishing as well. And lately, like I said, Australia as a country has been progressing in terms of cybersecurity. So there's a lot more funding capabilities and initiatives that the government is taking in order for the people to be more secure and also strengthening their digital forefront.
I think that's really important. In the
Yeah.
US, it's kind of like a fragmented type of thing where
Mm.
it's sort of like the private industry, government is more like, okay, you all do your own thing, or we're only gonna enforce something like really, really bad happens. But there, unfortunately, in my view, there isn't enough of that data sharing or collaboration that happens between private sector and government, because I think that a lot of times, for whatever reason, people think of it, unfortunately, as reactive, right? So it's like, okay, this
Right.
bad thing happened, so then now we're gonna all jump in and help out. But the threats are becoming fast and furious
Mm.
towards us. And I think just that reactive approach isn't going to be sustainable for the long term. So being able to, like you say, like educate people, have those types of collaborations, being able to make sure that the public is educated. Because I know another thing
Yeah.
about awareness training is that people, they use technology or they use devices even at home, right? So they're not yet educated on how to protect themselves at work. It'll be hard for them to do that at home as well, and that can have a impact on their work as well.
Exactly. Exactly. I do agree with you. They do see it in a reactive way. That is what to be honest, I'll be super happy if people stop looking cybersecurity is just a technology thing, but rather more like a way of living, because that is how digital devices are incorporated in our life on a day-to-day basis. So it's more like how we lock our doors without thinking twice. It should be like that when we are taking protective measures in our with our digital devices as well. It should be a second nature.
I love that because right, we don't say with our door, well, maybe I'll lock it
Yeah.
today, or maybe I'll
Yeah.
close my door today, or maybe I won't, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe I'll
And
just
we
throw
don't
my
close the
keys. Yeah,
Yeah. And we don't close the door after the thief enters the house. We close it so that nobody enters the house. Yes, that is how it should be for security as well.
I love that analogy. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Well, if it were the world according to you and we did everything you said, what would be your wish for data or security or cyber anywhere in the world, whether that be regulation, human behavior, or technology?
Like I said, Debbie, I'll be really happy if everyone adopted cybersecurity as a way of living rather than just looking at it as a technical thing or just technology domain. Because moving forward, it is important to protect our digital security. And these days, privacy is more of a concern at a pace that we are growing. So it is important to be mindful of what we post online, what we share online, and how we keep our passwords strong. And those things matter. And the risks involved a lot more. And there are even cases where lives are being impacted. So that is why it is important to incorporate cybersecurity as, I would say, as a part of your lifestyle.
Yeah, I love the human part of it. I think a lot of times we do forget that. That it really is about humans and it's about protecting humans, even if it has a
Exactly.
digital element.
Exactly. And like I said, these days we spend more of our time with devices than with other humans.
That's so true. Well, thank you so much. This is so great. And thank you for staying up late to be able to have this conversation with me. I'm
Okay.
sure the audience will love it as much as I do.
Oh, thank you so much, JB. Thanks for having me as a guest in the podcast as well.
Oh, excellent. And I'm sure hopefully we'll be able to have opportunity to collaborate in the future.
Definitely. Looking forward to it.
All right. Talk to you soon.
You take care. Cheers. Bye.